Hey everyone, how's it going? So, this face that you see here right now, this is the face of defeat. I don't like to admit defeat often, but I'm admitting defeat on this one. So I got my rear end handed to me on this particular vehicle. And you'll know which one it is in a second. It's the one that I fixed multiple times, and I finally thought I had it. And actually I did have it. I did have it fixed. The part that was the problem was finally fixed. The part that was the recurring problem was finally fixed. What am I getting at? Remember this transmission? This one right here? I rebuilt it. Somebody else had rebuilt it. I got it in, and it smoked a direct drive clutch. Smoked it. Okay. So I rebuilt it, put it together. Customer took it, lasted a week. It happened again. Same thing. I rebuilt it again. Same thing happened again. This time it happened on my road test. What in the world is going on here? Couldn't figure it out. Spoke to a few people, and they're like, you got to make sure your TV pressure is exactly your throttle valve pressure, your kick down, all that, whatever you want to call it. You got to make sure that that is dead on. You got to make sure it's perfect, because if it's not, that's what happens. You wind up burning up the direct clutch. Okay. So if you recall, I wound up putting a shift kit in it, and everything else. Customer took it. It was fine for however many weeks. Okay. I don't even know how many weeks that was. 3, 4, 5, maybe? I don't even know. I'd have to look back. I don't even know. So everything was great, no issues. Customer comes in and says, something's going on. He says, it's making a weird noise. Okay. Take it for a ride. Yeah, something's making a weird noise. It sounded like the converter was like prematurely locking up and creating like a grinding sound. I'm like, man, that's weird. I really think it's a bad converter. Okay. So at that point, we're like, all right, well, we're going to, since we got to take it down and to at least check the converter and that, obviously we're going to drop the pan. We dropped the pan, and let me just see if you can see this. So here's the pan. And there's your magnet, okay? Whole bunch of metal on it. But if you notice, before, when this thing smoked, the inside of this pan and the filter was absolutely saturated in black muck from the clutches smoking, okay? Come back over here. This clutch pack was smoked. Smoked, absolutely smoked. Matter of fact, I think I still have, yeah. When the clutches smoke, see how those teeth are discolored? That's because they burn, okay? These are not burned. Okay, so what's going on here? Is that all from the converter, all that metal and stuff? No, no, no. Because as I was taking this apart, I pulled out the input shaft. Where the heck's the input shaft? And I see this. Okay. So here's the input shaft. This is the one that goes through the center and attaches down inside the direct clutch. I see the end of this thing's black. So I'm like, what the heck is going on here? It must have smoked the clutch pack. Well, no, it didn't. So I go to start taking this thing apart, and I can't get this reaction shell out. Look at those teeth on the gear. Huh, all right. So now we come over here and we start looking. Piece of metal hanging out there, okay? You may be able to see something on there right away, but I'm not gonna point it out just yet. Look at that bushing. Look how hammered that bushing is. That bushing fell out on its own. Okay, I found metal inside the pan too, and this is where the metal came from. yeah, I had to use vice grips and a slide hammer to get the reaction shell out because it would not come out. It was stuck in place. And as you can see, this thing beat itself to death inside there. Where this bushing went, it destroyed this hub surface here, okay? Everything's pretty much destroyed right here. But what led to all of this, okay? Did I have a bearing failure? I don't know. So I start looking around, you know, here, I check planetary gears. Everything's fine, okay? You can see down in there, everything's turning. Everything's turning. And then I come to this one, okay? This one, oh, it's turning. Okay, it's turning. Notice something? Notice something? Yep. This one seized on that shaft. It seized on the shaft, and that's what happened. It destroyed this in the process, destroyed this planetary gear set in the process, which destroyed that gear in the process on this reaction shell, which sent metal throughout everything, destroying pretty much everything. However, the part that I fixed, finally, that I fixed, was okay. So these bushings were replaced on the first overhaul that I did. So there was nothing wrong with the bushings. It had nothing to do with the bushings. Whatever failed was the fault of this gear, this planetary gear set that seized up on the shaft there. Something you cannot foresee. I always check them, you know, roll them with my finger, just like this. I always roll them, feel them, you know, hey, how does that feel? You know, how does that look? You know, and everything feels fine. Everything feels perfectly fine. It does not feel like I have any issues whatsoever. Even here, this doesn't feel bad right now. I know I might have gone off the thing there, but it doesn't feel bad until you realize, hey, that's seized up on there. So that seized up, beat the snot out of that gear, which all of that stuff locked together. Yeah, but all the other clutches and everything else looks fine. Nothing looks bad. You know, and this is the part that hits that reaction shell, and it started damaging it also. So in a situation like this, what's the best course of action? Let me set you up on the tripod here for a second. What's the best course of action in something like this? Well, unfortunately, best course of action is a replacement. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, I got bad knees. So, the best course of action is replacement. So this becomes an epic failure, an epic loss of funds, so to speak. But you know what? That's the price that you have to pay when you run a business. Okay, things like this happen, and it's unfortunate. It's unforeseen. It's not something you want to have happen. And of course, you know, you get a customer that's mad because, you know, first off, if whoever rebuilt it prior to us, we don't know the prior history other than we know it was rebuilt at least one time just before we got it, and it smoked a direct clutch. And then we rebuilt it, same thing happened. We rebuilt it again, happened on a road test, and we rebuilt it again, put a shift kit in it, and then it was shifting perfectly, okay? And I got plenty of advice from some excellent people out there that know transmissions way more than I do. I mean, I have the ability to build them. I just don't know the intricacies in terms of certain things. And, you know, listening, sorry, somebody had walked in and this is like early morning here. But anyway, listening to, you know, the transmission gurus out there, the guys that really know transmissions, like Tim from Moran and Precision Transmissions, you know, thank you guys for reaching out and giving me assistance with this. The initial problem that I kept having with this thing finally got straightened out, but then of course we had that failure. It was kind of an unforeseen failure. Like, what the heck? You know, why did it happen? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. It's a part that you can't take apart to fix. You know, it's got a staked in shaft, and it's just like, what do you do? It's you know, it's an unfortunate thing that happens, and it's like, Is that something that we should have considered taking apart and fixing? No. There's no, not and fixing. Is it a part that we should have considered taking apart to like rebuild or whatever? You can't. It's not a part that you take apart. You know, it's a permanently made piece, and if you had to repair it, you get rid of it and get another one. So, but unfortunately, like if I detected some play in it or anything like that, it would have been a different story. But you know, I take stuff like this, you know, and I work the gears. You know, what do they sound like? What do they feel like? They feel fine, you know, but then of course you get to that one and that happens. And it's just like, you know, well, now it happens. Back then it didn't, but I check all of that stuff before it goes back together because I know, you know, that's stuff that happens and that's stuff that will down a transmission if I can catch it. But there again, you're just kind of going by feel. There's no, you know, does it feel like it's worn out? If so, replace the whole piece. It didn't feel like it was worn out. It felt fine. So nothing ever made me suspect that as a possibility of a failure. I have actually never seen one of those in any other transmission fail like that. I've never seen that. That's a first for me. I've had plenty of transmissions apart. I've rebuilt plenty of transmissions. Like I said, I am not an expert. I am not a guru. There's plenty of those guys out there. I am not one of them. I can make do, like I'm not a welder, but I can do it. You know what I mean? So anyway, like I said, this is just the absolute face of defeat. That kicked my fanny. And, you know, unfortunately, it's one of those situations where when you have a shop and you do these kinds of repairs, sometimes things come back and bite you. Thankfully, you keep them at a minimum. You know, hopefully you keep them at a minimum. But here again, good point, real quick. Had the customer supplied this transmission and it happened, then who's responsible? Not us. You follow? We're responsible because we took, you know, it's our parts, our labor, everything else. So if customer supplies the parts and the part fails, well, guess what? Our labor is still fine. It's the part that failed. Like here, part that failed. So it's on us. Customer supplies it and that happens, it's on them. That's how it works in this business. So, I mean, it is what it is, unfortunately. So, anyway, that's pretty much it. Yeah, defeated. Is what it is. All right, guys. I hope you got something out of that. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right. Have a great day and keep wrenching.